Good morning. Today I want to talk about creating feminine and masculine harmony in emotional expression. And this is through spiritually understanding how men and women deal with emotions differently. Now, this is a follow-on video from my last video titled Emotions Need to Flow. And I'll just go over a couple of key points from that video just to remind us. So emotions, the importance of emotions flowing and us not bottling them or suppressing them or expressing them in addiction or other behaviors, is that when they flow, they provide us with valuable information. They also they're paramount and promote healing, evolution, and transformation spiritually. They're there to make conscious what we're unconscious of, that's unredeemed and unhealed within us. Also, some of the concepts in the other video, I talked about not acting from a disquiet mind. So you let the emotional energy pass through, and then you make decisions and actions once you have gleaned the understanding and the insight. It's very important that there is a healthy release of that energy. If it gets stuck in the energy field or the body, it causes dis-ease. And men and women release and deal with emotional energy and emotions differently. And I'm going to go more into that today. The other thing to realize is that we are not our emotions. Very strong emotions can overwhelm us, like storm clouds overwhelm the sky, but they're just temporarily residing in our mind, in our body, and they're there for our learning and highest good, but they are passing through. They don't define us. So behind the storm clouds is a clear blue open sky. And as we detach, we learn to detach using the power of the mind to observe emotions, to let them flow, but to observe them. This is when we see them, but know we are not them. And this is where we glean the illumination and the insights. And we know that in life, our closest relationships act as a mirror to bring up all that is unhealed and unredeemed within us, to make conscious that which is unconscious within us and our psyche. Okay. So men and women often deal with strong emotions very differently. Typically, men will compartmentalize emotions, especially if they need to, if it's not the right time to deal with them. And this is a survival instinct so that they can go on protecting and providing for those they care about. So it's almost like they can put their emotions in a box and put the box on the shelf to open at a better time. And this doesn't mean that they're not feeling those emotions strongly, that they're not overwhelmed by them. But they're doing this, if they're hunters and they've got to provide for a family, getting emotional at that time is not the best time. They need to focus on what needs doing. But the problem is when the box is put on the shelf and never taken down. Okay, it's closed, put on the shelf, because this has ill effects for their own heart chakra and their own emotional flow, their energy field, and negatively affects the relationships around them. Often, life will keep bringing up situations that prod them to take that box off the shelf and open it up and deal with what's in there. And often the women and children in their life, those they care about the most, are the catalysts for bringing down that box and opening that box and dealing with it. And then if they can do that, if they find a safe way to do that, they can use their very natural problem-solving capacities to gain insights, to make changes, and it's a positive process of growth. Women are very different. Actually, I'll just go on a little bit. Often men, when I said a safe environment to deal with those emotions, men like to go into themselves to deal with it. Because they're problem solvers, they don't seek the answers outside of themselves. They naturally turn inward. And they like to almost go into their cave or their shed or their safe space to analyze and work this through on their own. And they will come out and share once they've gone through that process. And this is a very important process, especially if you understand the hormones going on for men and their hormonal response to stress. So if a man is very stressed, what he needs to decrease that stress and be able to think through a problem and understand his emotions and rationalize what's gone on and come up with a solution to a problem, he needs testosterone. And when he goes into his safe space, his cave, that increases his testosterone. So when men are sort of saying, give me space, give me time out, leave me alone, they're intuitively saying, I need testosterone to come back to balance, and then I'll come back to you on this. And they can release emotions on their own. They're not, in our culture, it's not so acceptable for men to release emotions with other people. And they can use the detachment of their mind to work it through like a problem and come up with often quite amazing insights and solutions if left to this process. The problem is if they stay in that cave because they just can't work it out. And then they're often not very good at expressing that they can't work it out or that they might need some help. Women are very different. They're more like a cup. And if you think of a woman as a cup, and energy is designed to flow in and flow out. And this is the receiving and giving of love and nurturing compassion. So it's an expansive energy. And this, when a woman's in harmony, she overflows with love and compassion for those she cares about and those around her. She brings people together. She nurtures relationships. She connects. And this, for her to do that, for the outpouring of those qualities, she needs to be open to receiving. So it's like her cup has to receive so that she can give. And that would be a woman in beautiful balance. And when they're in that state, they're incredibly powerful in a feminine way. When a woman experiences negative responses in the world or problems to solve, it's like a little marble is placed in the cup. And it's okay if there's just a couple of marbles in the cup, they can keep flowing. But when the cup starts filling up, there's no room to receive or give that love and nurturing feminine energy. And she starts to feel very stressed, very overwhelmed, and every little problem is too much because the cup is full. So what a woman needs to do to get the emotional side of her flowing again, to get that feminine energy flowing, is to empty the cup. And female, and this will bring her back to balance and harmony, female friends and sometimes family intuitively know this, and they know she just needs to talk it out. She needs a safe environment to just simply offload. And the things on top of the cup, they'll just be random, seemingly irrational things coming out. And this is a problem, and that's a problem, and this is a problem. As she's tossing out the marbles. Women also need to talk about their feelings to feel them. She often doesn't know what the marbles are until she talks about them. And that's a revelation. Her expression is revealing to herself. She knew she was upset, but she didn't know why often. But the talking it out, the offloading, if you like, helps her to see. And eventually she'll come to the real issue, the marble that was sticky and pulled in all the others, the crux of the real problem. And it's often right at the bottom of the cup. And there's been all these other things tossed out. And she realizes actually none of those mattered. She could have dealt with those normally. It was this one at the bottom of the cup that was the issue, but she's got to toss all the others out to find the issue. Now, men don't get this at all. This seems like a very strange response to men, especially because they're naturally problem solvers. So they want to solve every marble as it comes out. And this winds women up. It's like, no, just listen to me. Just let me offload. Don't try and solve all my problems. They're not the real problem. Let me get to the real problem. But men often don't realize that the best problem they can solve is just listening, just being there as a wall for her to bounce what's going on off without involving their problem solving. And this is incredibly hard for men because they're wired, especially those they care the most about, excuse me, they're wired to help them and to solve their problems. So this often causes a conflict between the sexes. So women simply need to be heard in a safe environment where they're not judged. So woman to woman, we often know that the things women say when they're offloading, they don't mean them. We just intuitively know just to poof. Whereas men will go, you can't have any judgment or criticism. It's got to be a safe environment to let that out. And then you've reached the bottom of the cup and she becomes aware of the key emotional issue that triggered her meltdown, that triggered her emotional overwhelm. And this is often something unconscious. It might be from her past, something in her everyday life triggered something that's unhealed within her. And this is the growth and the learning. So the other person with her is helping her by simply being there and listening, by creating a safe, loving space to offload all those marbles in her cup. Now, the reason women don't feel safe often to express emotions in the way that they need to, or don't feel safe in general in our world, in our environment, is because we have a very masculine, a world that's very orientated toward the masculine qualities. Men don't realize how often women don't feel safe. And women take for granted that they know how often they don't feel safe. But if you are predominantly, here to express feminine values and energies, we live in a world where that's not a safe thing to do. And it's not the way the world works. So often women are feeling unsafe a lot of the time because they can't just be who they are. And sometimes when men realize this, their natural desire to protect and provide and be there for their loved female people in their life means that they will come to understand why she doesn't feel safe in this world and help with that. So when men create a safe environment for women to express emotionally, they create like an umbrella. It's like they've put up a beautiful safety umbrella over the woman in their life, and they provide a safe space for her simply to be who she is, to emote, to express emotions in the way she needs to, and to simply be feminine. And this heals the heart energies and allows her cup to flow again, and her feminine energies and the balance between the yin and the yang are restored. And I'm going to talk more about that in a minute. A woman whose cup is full with those marbles cannot express love, understanding, nurturing, or compassion. She just can't. It's like it's blocking the flow of energy through her heart. She just can't. And if you ask those things of her, she will snap your head off at that point because she just can't. Once her cup is emptied of all the marbles, she can easily return to these feminine expressions, this feminine state. If she is required to shelve her emotions in a box in a masculine way, this leads to hormonal imbalances in her body, blocked energy in her body, and eventually will lead to disease, both physical and mental, and the breakdown of relations in her life. And we see this often. Men need that safe space, that cave, to process their emotions on their own. They will seek counsel or further information if it's needed, but they don't always appreciate it if it's given by their partner or those around them. It's like if they haven't asked for it, they don't want it. And you're invading that safe space. They need to process it themselves, because this is part of being a man. Once a man has worked through an emotional problem, then he is often ready to discuss and enact positive change or solutions that he's come up with, or at least put those on the table for consideration. His perspective is often open to greater understanding. So when he comes out of his cave and approaches the significant females in his life, then he's ready to discuss, and then you can share. And but if you do that beforehand, again, you'll get a very definite negative response. But he needs the time it takes, however long it takes, to process those emotions. And women often don't respect this, because women believe that men are like them and that talking about it will help them. It really doesn't, unless they instigate it. It emasculates them, and it reduces their testosterone and increases their stress. And so sometimes you know this with your sons. You will just get a one-word answer, a gruff, and they'll go into their bedroom, their cave. They might do whatever they need to do to process it. It might be gaming. It might be they need to go and do some physical sport. They need to get back into their testosterone. And then later, they're open to talking about what the problem was. But if inquiry about the problem gets no response, give them the space, and they'll come back to you later. When women have to process emotions in a masculine way, perhaps in a work environment, and they have to keep a lid on the marbles, or they have to shelve them, this increases their testosterone levels and decreases their female hormones, and this radically increases their stress levels. So this is why women often, especially in a work environment, don't feel safe. They feel very stressed because they're not able to deal with emotions and interactions and connections with others in a naturally feminine way. Men are the opposite. If they need to process emotions in a feminine way, if you get them around talking about their problems and in a group and sharing, this decreases their testosterone, increases their estrogen, effectively emasculating them and increasing their stress levels. So estrogen reduces stress in women and increases stress in men. Testosterone increases stress in women and reduces stress in men. Now, work environments that are goal-oriented, that are end result focused, that have targets, that have quotas, that have, they're like hunters. They have a target to achieve. These are very testosterone environments. Work environments where there's more of a cooperative, nurturing, compassionate, working as a team, the interrelationships are more important, the process is more important than necessarily focusing on the end result, are more feminine environments. Oxytocin is the other hormone involved, and this is the bonding hormone. Okay, and this reduces stress in both sexes and is released when there's a return to true connection between the sexes again, when there is understanding and respect of their differences and a harmonious blending of the yin and yang energies. So oxytocin is released whenever we connect. So for example, when we give someone a hug, when we connect with our pets, when we connect with plants, when we connect in any way, This is the bonding hormone that releases powerful hormones. Powerful effects in our body that are very positive for our health. Now, just in the last video, I talked about the power of gratitude. And we've been talking about detaching and witnessing our emotions and realizing that we're not responsible for anybody else's behavior or emotions or response or reaction. We're only responsible for our own. And that when we practice gratitude, when we recognize that there is kindness in everybody, when we operate from a soul level, when we're overwhelmed by emotions, we go away and we deal with our emotional energy, and we come back and we work with someone to work through whatever the problem is that was triggered, whatever the issue is, bring our understanding to the floor. Gratitude is a habit we can cultivate. And this is a thinking in the heart, or a choice on how we see the world, other people in our life. And when we're grateful for things, we attract more of them. So when we're in gratitude, we have very positive physiological changes in our body. We have a coherence between our mind and our heart. And I talked about this in the previous video. Just to be aware, when we're in gratitude, we tend to have a different perspective. It's like we've put glasses of the soul. We see the world through the perspective of the soul, and we've put these glasses on that see better truth. We choose to see the glass as half full, or an empty glass that can always be filled. We look for the silver lining. We recognize that even if the storm clouds are obliterating the blue sky with the sun shining, our soul shining, the blue sky and our soul light is always there behind the clouds. But note that when a man closes his emotional box and puts it on the shelf, or a woman's cup is full of those marbles that can't be expressed because it's not safe, gratitude is not possible. You can't feel gratitude when you're in those states. Okay. And so releasing strong emotions in a safe way is emotional intelligence. And then we can return to gratitude, to forgiveness, to understanding. And this enables positive change. If we're involved in an ego battle, so this is not seeing people as a soul, this is one-upmanship, judgment, criticism, you made me angry, you're wrong, I'm right, or my ideas are better than yours, or ingratitude. These all close down the heart and create disconnection from others, from life, from love. And this painful disharmony creates disease in the mind, the body, because of this emotional shutting down. I am right, and holding a crystallized position, or judgment, or any of these states of mind where you don't just see emotions as passing through the mind. You've held something and you hold it in your mind till it defines who you are. So gratitude enables us to keep our heart open. I want to just explain a little bit about how this works with the balance of the yin and the yang energies in our world. So from a Taoist or a Chinese way of viewing life in the world and health, there are two opposing forces in the world. And these are yin, which is the feminine, and there is yang, which is the masculine. So the yin is a darker energy. It's the nourishment of the womb. It's the winter when the tree loses its leaves and the energy goes deep into the earth, into the roots to nourish. Yin is going inward in meditation and contemplation. Yin is a restorative energy. It's the energy of insight and intuition. Yin energies are very much about nurturing and compassion. It's about being. Okay, so you could summarize yin as being, allowing, accepting. Yang energies are the masculine expression. So this is more about, so the moon is yin because it reflects the light of the sun and it's in the darkness. The sun is yang. So yang energies are hot and fiery and expressive out in the world. It's the masculine. It's to express who you are. It's doing. It's action in the world. It's movement, that sort of thing. So if yin is being, yang is doing, and we need a balance of both. And if you think about that cup of a woman, she's receiving so as to give. You think about a man goes into his cave to restore his energy so he can come out and he can provide, protect, and solve problems for those he cares about. So it's all about a balance and a flow. If you look in nature, the yin and yang energies are perfectly balanced within each plant, within the seasons, within the whole, when it's all in harmony. And we live in a world that is very focused on yang. Okay, and this is why people experience burnout, too much fiery energy, not enough restorative going in and healing, doing the inner work, that sort of feminine. The feminine is not held as in high esteem in our society as the masculine. For example, the more nurturing careers or vocations in our society are not valued or paid well. Some are not paid for at all. And we show our value in society by what we pay for, but the more masculine yang occupations are. So, for example, the nurturing, the building relationships, the compassion, the caring, child rearing, caring for elderly carers. This sort of work is not usually as valued in a monetary way. If we show value in a monetary way, it's often valued in a non-monetary way. So women in a masculine world often don't feel safe. So that the way that they cope with this often, and this we've seen a change in our society, is to become more masculine themselves, to take masculine jobs, to earn money doing masculine roles, to behave in the boardroom, in the home, in the bedroom, more masculine. And this affects the health of women, especially the hormonal health. We're seeing both in girls, teenage girls, and women after menopause, and women right through. We're seeing more and more problems associated with hormonal imbalance. And it also emasculates men, because if women are being men, where's the role for men? There's, in the yin yang balance is like, well, where do we fit in? And this creates a real imbalance. So the key to better balance is both within yourself, is understanding. It's understanding that you need to be and do in the world. You need a balance of the yin and the yang. You look at nature. In the winter, there's less activity. Everything loses its leaves, and the trees go into their roots, and plants, they shut down and build nourishment. The seed deep in the earth, the bulb deep in the earth, is dormant as it restores its energies. It's gone inward. And then gradually, as we move through to the spring, there's a slow increase in that yang energy. And that is what gives the new growth and all of that restoration, that healing, that growing and transformation that happened during the winter expresses in the full beauty of the spring. And that moves into the expression of summer that culminates in the harvest, in the what is produced. And then there is a loss of the leaves and a gradual coming back to the yin energies. And that's a natural balance. But we don't do this. And many of the problems in our society, health problems, are because we're just yang, 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 yang. And we don't value having that yin time to restore. And if we did, and we valued the feminine in our society more, we valued the feminine values, and women were able to be more feminine and didn't feel they had to be more masculine, to be valued and respected, we would have more harmony in relationships with the opposite sexes. We would have more harmony in relationships with partners, children, parents, friends, and co-workers. So it's understanding. It's looking at your own life, the balance within your own self, and then looking at the balance in your immediate relationships and looking at the balance in your wider relationships. And that's the only way it will change, when we start to value the yin and the yang. Because think of the symbol, there's a little bit of each in the other. Okay, so you always, you never, it's not polarized, you never one or the other. It's got to be an amalgamation of the two for this harmony, for that flow that women experience, for the flow that men experience. When a man is in top form, that he is like in the flow. We talk about it with athletes, with peak performance, when things are just happening because you're in the flow. And we find this, we can restore our flow often by going into nature, because she is naturally in the flow. I'm going to just show you a very simple Tai Chi exercise that you can do mindfully, just to restore and understand this yin yang balance. So it's very, very simple, and anyone can do it anytime. Okay, so you're just standing comfortably. Get where you can see me. You feel like you're grounded. You send a connection down into the earth, so you're connected to the energies, the natural energies of the earth. And then with your left hand, because the left side is the feminine, okay, you receive. So you bring it into your heart. And with your right hand, the masculine, you give. And you receive and you give. And you see, I'm just letting my whole torso flow with that, whereas I've got the strength of being grounded through my feet. So I'm receiving and I'm giving. I'm receiving and I'm giving. And this creates, if you look at the symbol, like a figure of 8 that I'm creating the infinity symbol. I am creating that beautiful symbol of perfect balance and harmony. An eternal symbol, because this is how it works. And just doing that will help to restore that yin-yang balance. And there are many, Tai Chi, Qigong, yoga, these sort of more Eastern holistic practices have many ways to restore the yin-yang balance, and you can read more about that if you want to. So enough talking. I want to now go into a meditation where we're going to work with this. It's a guided meditation today. So I want you to just get yourself comfortably sitting upright. So your spine is upright without being rigid. You want your feet flat on the floor, and don't cross them. Have them so that the left side and the right side can balance each other. Okay. Have your hands resting gently in your lap. You can use the symbol of balance. This is we are one. You can have the left hand supporting the right and the connection between them as a yin, so that that deeper inner strength supports the strength out in the world. Or you could have the empowerment mudra, which is the balance of the yin and the yang, the feminine and the masculine coming together to create something powerful that empowers. Whichever feels right, or just let your hands rest how they naturally do. Gently close your eyes. And I know I've talked about a lot, and there could be a lot of thoughts racing through your mind, but I want to bring you into your body. So I want you to send a connection through your feet, the very center of your foot, under the ball of your foot, there's a kidney point. And I want you to send the energy down, there's a chakra here, down into the earth, connecting with her natural balance. To feel like there's an energetic connection, almost like you're sending roots down into the earth. You can do the same with the very base of your spine if you want to. And your root chakra, your base chakra, Muladhara. And we're grounding spiritual energies into the material world, into matter or the earth. Excuse me. Now come into an awareness of your body sitting on the chair. Be aware of the clothes on your skin. Be aware of any sounds in the room as we come into the present moment. Now gently take that same awareness to your breath. Breathing through your nose, ideally, if that's comfortable. Just be aware of the breath coming in through your nostrils, feeling a little cooler. Be aware of the breath leaving through your nostrils, feeling a little warmer. And then gently allow the breath to become a little slower, a little deeper, so that you feel like you're breathing down through a channel that goes down through the center of your chest, right down into your belly. So as you breathe in, your belly, your tummy fills with air. As you breathe out, your tummy, your belly comes back towards your spine. Just gently, not forced, very naturally. And with your mind, you just let your mind rest on the breath. And this is not a forced concentration. This is resting on the breath in a gentle, feminine way, a yin way. And as you focus on the breath, you will find that the thoughts in your mind calm down and there is space between them. The thoughts are still passing through your mind like clouds across a blue open sky, but you're just observing them. Your focus is on the breath, and it's taking you into the peace deep within you. Now, if your mind is busy with thoughts that are distracting, just accept that. And every time your mind wanders off on a train of thought, just gently bring it back to the breath with an attitude of loving kindness. Now, in your mind, I'm going to ask you to see the yin-yang symbol. If you're not familiar with it, it's like a circle divided where one side is darker with darker energies at the top that culminates down to a tail. And within the dark, the yin, is a little circle of white yang. And the corresponding small light at the top comes down to a larger light energy of the yang with a little circle of yin within it. And the two fit perfectly together. And it's a dynamic harmony, like the beauty we see in nature. And within this symbol, we can glean much illumination, much insight, understanding that the white area is all the aspects of our life in which we are doing. We are doing things day by day, expressing in the world. But to keep that in balance, we have to have some being. Meditation, contemplation, connecting with nature, just sitting quietly, it's simply being. And then within the greater balance is that beautiful yin energy, the darker, where sometimes we're called to go inward for longer periods, to restore, to redeem, to heal, to grow. But within that is the light of the yang that enables us to bring that into the world. And just reflect on your own life and the balance between being and doing, between self-love and giving love to others. Often our body speaks to us of this, if there is an imbalance. Issues on the left side of our body that keep on niggling can be an indication of an imbalance in the yin, the feminine, the being, a need to go inward and intuitively seek guidance. Issues on the right side of our body can be indicative of a masculine imbalance, a yang imbalance. Maybe we're not expressing ourselves in the right way. Maybe we've gone down the wrong path, or a path that's not best for us. Maybe there's too much doing and not enough being. Our body speaks to us intuitively and often quite literally. Are we striving and surviving, or are we thriving? When we come into the peace of the present moment, both energies are in perfect alignment and balance. When we drop into the peace of meditation, we are in the yin-yang balance. We connect the presence of our soul. So just hold this symbol of balance in your heart and allow any insights to just arise into your mind. Don't judge or criticize them or analyze them at this point. Just acknowledge. When these energies are in balance, our response to all aspects of life can be one of three responses. Eckhart Tolle teaches us the power of the now. In any given moment when we are in balance, we can either accept a situation, we can enjoy a situation, or we can have enthusiasm for a situation. These are all states of balance. When the yin and yang are in balance, our heart is filled with joy. Joy flows in from the world and flows out from us. Come into the center of your chest and see your heart as a cup, chalice, where love is received and love is given, where compassion flows from the joy that comes in, where inner peace flows out to create peace in the world. And now just with a gentle focus on your breath, flow the breath down into an even deeper state of quiet contemplation, returning to the breath if your mind is agitated or distracted. And in that deep contemplation, just allow any intuitive insights pertaining to anything I've spoken of today just to arise in your awareness. Allow any emotions to flow that bubble up. Allow yourself to simply be. Now gently allow your mind to return to an awareness of your body sitting on the chair in this room, gently arising from the meditation. Coming back into your physical body, but just keeping your eyes closed for a minute. So stretching and moving as you need to. Then we're going to open our eyes with full soul awareness. So without expectation, just open your eyes with an open heart and notice what you see and what you feel. So when you're ready, just opening your eyes. When we open our eyes coming out of meditation, in the way we open our eyes and see through the eyes of joy and through the eyes of balance and harmony. Now, I trust that what we talked about today was valuable. If you want to know more, if you want to delve more into the actual dynamics of relationships between men and women and the effects of the hormones and some of the things you can do. For example, there are many things that women who are in a masculine job can do to balance their feminine energies when they get home and in their spare time. I would highly recommend listening to or reading John Gray's book, Beyond Venus and Mars, where he looks at the change in relationships in the last 25 years and goes into greater depths in the effect on our physical, our mental and emotional health as a result of how things have changed and what we can do about it. So very practical. Otherwise, I wish you a very peaceful, balanced, and harmonious day and beautiful connections in your relations. Namaste.